Meeting is to
Conference will now be recorded.
approve the agenda. Does anyone have any questions, additions, issues with the agenda as presented? If not, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I got a second by Sean Ryan.
Chuck, it looks like you might have frozen up.
He looks kind of creepy there.
Somebody get the casket out, we'll put him in there.
He's trying again. It must be his Halloween thing.
Finally, it's not me, for crying out loud.
I think we'll give him a minute to log back on here.
Yeah, he's a crucial part of this meeting, so. I sure do know that feeling, man, that's frustrating.
We could go to, just as an aside, Maggie, you're the president, are you not?
The vice president, yes.
That we could just have you finish this out and get us into the Main Street stuff, just so that we move it along and pick up Chuck when he connects back in.
That sounds good. Well, this first item, Chris, is yours to just give us an update on the Main Street construction, so we don't have to make a motion on anything, but just listen.
Maggie, before Chris does that,
Thank you.
Chris, before you start, you want to finish off the motion and the second on the approval of the meeting agenda?
I thought that was done already, that Chuck made a motion and Sean second.
But
Vote
that's,
To go through to, okay. So Sean, I'll start with you.
Aye. Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Bruce,
Aye.
Maggie is aye. Think I got everyone? And motion is carried. So we'll go ahead then, Chris, and
Okay, well, thank you. Well, if you've been watching how things have been proceeding, obviously this concrete work is kind of a slow, monotonous process because they have to do parts, wait till they cure until they're strong enough to drive on and do the next part, things like that. So today, for example, they were doing hand form curb or hand form pavement and curb down at 2nd Avenue. kind of the fill-in stuff that's not done with machines. Tomorrow they're going to be doing, there's a mainline paving that's left there west of the tracks down by the car lot. And basically by the end of this week, they will be done with all the concrete curb and paving work. What will be left at that point is mostly sidewalk flat work, as they call it. Today, for example, they were putting in conduit and handholds for the lighting. They'll be doing that pretty much the rest of this week, running wire, getting light bases in, and those will have to sit and cure for a while before lights can be installed and wired and things like that. So a lot of activity going on with a lot of different contractors, subcontractors. The sidewalk work, again, will probably be over the next couple weeks at least. And that will be kind of a slow process because it has to be done so that, you know, ped ramps need to be done separately, landings into the buildings need to be done separately, and maintaining access to the businesses, et cetera. Luckily, there just aren't a lot of businesses down there, so should go fairly well, and probably quicker than we'll see some of the stuff next year in the more dense area of downtown. Probably too, by late in the week or next week too, they'll be getting ready for the mill and overlay section, a portion that'll be there at the intersection down with 21 and west of 21 up by Quick Trip. There's a little bit of kind of maintenance work that was included with this project, and that'll be taking place probably by the end of this week, and then some work happening again next week. I guess with that, any questions, anything that you've seen or heard from the public that you might have questions about?
No, I haven't. It's really looking good though. You know, it really kind of gives an idea of how clean everything is going to look when it's done.
Yeah, I agree. This will give everybody, the public, kind of a chance to see what the rest of the project can look like. Because even some of the landscape areas will get at least prepared. There won't be planted or anything this year, when some of the ornamental railing and monuments won't be installed, but those areas will be certainly visible, what's going to go in those places. So, okay.
Thank you. I see that we've got a caller one joining us. Chuck, is that you?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, we lost our internet here. I think
Oh,
Sean was outside. I think Sean was outside pulling the wires. So I'll
All
just
right,
do this by the phone. So number
Sounds
2 on the item is the resolution changing the date of the sale, correct, Mike?
That is correct, Mayor. As you can see from my memo, as we worked with Terry Heaton to try to take a look at being able to hit the October 19th date that was identified as the date that we are proposed to receive bonds that day, and for the council to meet that evening to actually award that bond as part of our regular meeting, is that after doing extensive work with Standard & Poor's, our staff meeting with S&P will be Wednesday of this week. But with where that date falls and the actual bond rating by the time it comes out from Standard & Poor's, after it goes through their process, is it would not have been published in time to be able to meet the October 19th date. So the alternative was to find another date, and in discussions, we talked with Terry Heaton. I mentioned this issue to the mayor, and trying to take a look at the possibility that by selecting a date, it might also be able to be used as our second budget workshop in the 21 budget. And so in the materials I have in front of you tonight is to consider after the regular special meeting on the 19th is to meet on Wednesday night, the 21st at 5:30 for you to take a look at the results of the proposals that we receive on the bond sale, and then to adopt a resolution that actually awards the sale of bonds that evening. In the alternative, is I could have brought a resolution that would simply have had Patty, myself, and the mayor have gotten together and to have done this, but I anticipated that there was likely council interest, and so I didn't bring that alternative forward. And so what I have here tonight is a resolution that amends the resolution that you approved at the September 21st meeting, basically moving the sale date and the submittal of the bond proposals from October 19th to the 21st at 5:30 p.m.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? So are we also, I guess since we can discuss that too, are we also interested in having the second budget workshop on that day, and we can do both that night?
I'm good with it.
Yeah, that works for me.
Bruce, you're muted.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, that works for me as well.
Well, then
Okay, so
Then
Go ahead,
then
Mike.
hopefully that's correctly.
okay, so then with that in mind, we can, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the resolution changing the date from October 19th to the 21st for the bond sales. And anyone, I need a second?
Second.
I got a second by Rick Seiler, so without, if no one has any other comments, or we'll take a roll call vote. Rick,
Aye.
Maggie,
Aye.
Bruce,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
and Chuck says aye. In the miscellaneous section, we can do a resolution to have the second budget workshop on the 21st, if that's okay with everyone.
I'm good.
That works.
Okay. So next on the agenda is we got two items that want to put some cost onto the tax rolls. Ken, I think you're going to take at least
Yep.
the first one.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take both of them tonight. Yeah, so for the council's background and consideration tonight, we have, for items 3 and 4, I'll kind of cover together in one memo here. But every year, we have to assess by October 15th the unpaid service charges for mowing and property maintenance, as well as the unpaid municipal utility bills. And this is for the time period of September 16th, 2019 through September 15th, 2020. So it's not exactly the calendar year, but it does cover a 1-year period of time. Regarding the mowing, to start off with, we had about $2,434.16 in unpaid mowing and property maintenance charges. That was actually only for 3 separate properties this year. We did have other properties we maintained, but they paid their bills. So these are just the unpaid bills after they were sent an invoice, and then obviously the final notice of collection, which we sent out on or before September 15th for the year. So pretty much in line for the mowing and property maintenance where we had been over the past few years. Nothing too different about that. One thing we had changed from last year, I know the council had brought up adding or raising our charge for our administrative fees, and then see if that would help.
Conference will now be recorded.
Oh, I did that. Hold on here. There we go. Sorry about that. The administrative fees were raised in 2020. Didn't seem to have an effect on cutting down on the mowing and nuisance costs, but we did collect about $1,200 or will collect $1,200 in our mowing fees out of that 2,400. So that is the mowing bills. The second item, which would be actually number 4, the resolution for that covers the same period of time, and those are for unpaid past due municipal utility bills, including water, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, electric, and trash. Now, electric, they cannot be for a tenant or a renter. So that is one thing to note for that. But there are some property owners on here as well that we are collecting on electric for. But I do want to note, talk to Patty about this before the meeting tonight. And regarding the utility bills, all the unpaid utility bills, the people were sent 2 letters noting that they needed to pay. And then obviously the final notification prior to September 15th. The landlords were also notified in the case of rental properties. And these again are what has remained unpaid. So if you recall, the emergency order from the governor did note that they could not shut off utilities during the COVID-19 time period here. So I think some of the charges have obviously gone up a bit. You'll notice that the unpaid bills that we're looking at possibly assessing for this year is over $36,000, which is the highest total we've ever had by far. We do expect a number of these charges to be paid before we actually certify on October 15th, but we did want to make sure that you were aware that they were notified multiple times, and we have not shut anybody off, but it's still charges that are due and owed at this point. So we believe it to be largely due to COVID for those charges on the utility billing end of things.
We didn't, Ken, this is Chuck. We didn't
Yep.
Charge any interest, did we? Because didn't we put that on hold?
I believe there was not, correct.
So this 36,000 is just outstanding bills with no late fee charges.
Correct. And the other thing to note too, that will not necessarily bring everybody current, because again, this time period ended on September 15th. So there are still additional charges that may show up for the next assessment period, but just wanted to point that out as well. There's actually more delinquents than that total at this point.
When does the cold weather rule set in?
You know, I'm not an expert on the cold weather rule, so I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that. Mike, do you have any better background information on that?
October 15th. Sorry to butt in,
That's all right.
but just heard it on the radio last week.
Thank you.
That was sent out with bills this month, last month.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions?
So it is 2 separate resolutions, one for the utility billing and one for the mowing.
Okay, so the first resolution deals with the mowing and property maintenance charges on the tax roll.
I'll move it.
Who is that, Rick?
Yep.
Okay, I got a motion by Rick Seiler.
I'll second.
I got a second by Sean Ryan. There's no other questions. We'll do a roll call vote. Rick?
Aye.
Maggie? Got Maggie?
Maggie, you're
Maggie.
muted.
Sorry, folks, I was on mute. Aye.
Okay. Bruce?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
And Chuck says aye, so that passes 5-0. Okay, the second resolution with dealing with utility billing, which does not include the electric charges. So this would be the sewer and water and
Some of the owner occupied that are on the list, it does include, but a lot of them are rentals that do not include that.
okay. Now, Ken, just a question. Do we notify the landlords also?
Yes, all the landlords were also notified, in addition to the 2 letters that went to each tenant in the case of a tenant that had not paid their utility bill. So many notices were sent out.
Because once we put it on the tax roll, it goes on the tax roll of that property, not necessarily.
Correct. In talking to Patty, that's why she thought some of the landlords will end up picking it up rather than have it go on their taxes and have to pay it off that way. And that's kind of typical every year, but this year we obviously had more than normal.
Okay. Okay, resolution for the municipal utility charges to the tax roll. I guess I'll make a motion to approve.
This is Maggie, I'll second.
Okay. If there's no other questions or comments. Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Rick,
Aye.
Maggie,
Aye.
Bruce,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
and Chuck says aye. That passes 5-0. Okay. Next on the agenda is the acceptance of the conservation easement. Ken, I assume you're taking this one?
Yep, I'm taking that one. So I'm going to put up on the screen here a overhead if everybody can see that. So, Council, I don't know if I've had this on any of the EDA reports yet, but we had a building permit that was applied for Memories and Milestones Academy, which is a daycare located at 1501 First Street Northeast, just north of the new Quick Trip. And they're proposing a 3,980 square foot addition on the west side of their property, basically right in this area. It's kind of the open space. So when the building was initially built, this was always anticipated to be an expansion area for that building. The one thing that had changed since 2007 when the building was built is that we enacted a wetland buffer requirement, and we had an amendment to this a few months ago, if the council recall, but it had a standard 50-foot setback from the wetland edge, which is kind of this inside line on the boundary map that you can see in the overhead here. And that minimum was 50 feet. And that was in any case where there was not a specific wetland functional assessment done. So when Memories and Milestones came in to apply for the building permit, that setback actually used up some of the land that they expected they could build on when the lot was platted and when they initially had built the building. So they actually went through, hired INS Group to complete the INS or complete the wetland functional assessment. We had Derek Deichel from SEH, our wetland specialist, take a look at the assessment. I also reviewed that, and we found that based on the assessment and our requirements in our land and water preservation ordinance, that based on our new language that allows a building to be built to the new buffer line, this wetland was said to have a required minimum 25-foot setback for that wetland buffer. And that is what this easement is purporting to put in place. And basically this needs to be a no-mow area. They will put up a couple of wetland buffer signs, which is kind of our standard signage to note that that is a no-mow area and left in a natural condition. And in a nutshell, this just remains in place in the title of the property, basically into perpetuity, unless the whole building were to be demolished and that site not be developed that way anymore. And that's likely not to ever happen, but this would cover this and future property owners and basically let the building go to that wetland edge there and finish out that property as it was intended to be initially. So,
Hey, Ken, I see the excavators in that spot. Are there excavators that are in there working right now?
they were actually digging up wood chips for the playground that is going to be removed and replaced along with the building addition. So nothing to do with the building yet. We have not actually issued that permit, but they were working on the playground wood chips.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions? If not, I guess I'll look for a motion to accept the conservation easement.
I'll make that motion, Chuck.
Okay, I
I'll
got a
second.
motion by Rick Seiler. And who seconded?
Sean.
Sean Ryan seconded. If there's no other comments or statements, we'll take a roll call vote. Rick?
Aye.
Maggie?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
And Chuck says aye, so it passes 5-0. Thank you, Ken. Next, Jim, are you going to just give us a quick update on the COVID and probably more importantly, how did it go the first day that City Hall was open?
It appeared to go very well. Met with some of the staff this morning for any questions or concerns. We had a brief meeting. I know down here at the police department window, we probably had about 5 people in. Majority of them were permits to carry applications, or permits to purchase, I'm sorry. But otherwise, yeah, it seemed to go very well. We have our cleaning supplies in place, our PPE in place, and our policies set forth. So we should be able to handle what's going to come. And I know our discussion earlier today was that there's probably not going to be a mad rush of customers coming in, but that they should be able to handle whatever goes on. And then we're looking at a cleaning regimen throughout the day of mid-morning and mid-afternoon that designated staff will clean touch points. And then at night, the major cleaning should occur with the night cleaning where everything is disinfected. And I'll have Glenn touch base with them once again, just to make sure that he relays that request to them, that they are doing a good job in the bathrooms and other areas.
And Mike, is it the same way up front?
Yeah, when Jim talks about City Hall, he talks about all of City Hall.
All right.
Yeah, we had 4 customers at the building and planning counter today, which is less than we would have had pre-COVID, but I think it went well so far.
Okay. How have the employees taken it? Are they feel comfortable? Any concerns from that aspect?
They had emailed some concerns to supervisors a couple of weeks ago, and most of those were addressed through our policies. Today, in speaking with them face to face, I know there were less concerns. They didn't have a lot of concerns about it. Again, as long as the touch points are getting covered and they maintain the glass barriers for themselves, it should function very well. I think the glass barriers were a good addition for us to eliminate some of that. It did come up a question about our ventilation, and I think Glenn was going to be working on that, just addressing, making sure to have our ventilation checked and tested, that things are operating appropriately and moving the air through the exchangers as it's supposed to.
Okay.
I'm assuming, Jim, we're not doing inspections yet?
For employees or?
Property inspections or internal in-home inspections?
Yeah, we're still not doing occupied residential homes at this point. If they can clear out, we will do them, but not when they're occupied. But it's been going well, even despite those regulations. We're able to get the homes to evacuate out and do our inspections where needed. But we still do have a list of inspections that will need to be done when we're able to fully enter homes again. But
is it manageable?
It's manageable, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or anything else you want to bring up, Jim?
Just, I know the schools were dealing with a little uptick in some of their numbers. And that's why they went away from their plan to bring back the elementary kids back in. But as we look at some of their numbers, Scott County had a slight tick up here through September 19th. The rest of them have been trending down, with the exception of both Scott and Rice, I guess. Rice just ticked up a little, up to 11.56%. So they are concerned about that. I think some of the concern came from just west of us out in Sibley County, where they had higher numbers in their schools, to the degree that the state came down and stepped in and said, hey, you guys need to change how you're doing business here. And my understanding is they had brought people back in class 100% to begin with. But the state kind of advised them, told them what needs to happen, and even indicated that if they fail to follow the direction from the Department of Ed, that there could be criminal charges to the board. So I think with that occurring last week, kind of made the school kind of sit back and think, hey, things are functioning right now. We're going to let them go and see where our numbers actually go to before we try and integrate the entire classes back. Because if they do trend up again, then they would end up pulling back and going into the hybrid model. So they're just going to hold off a few weeks and see and assess it after that. Mike also talked to me last week about the guidelines for Halloween. He asked me what our stance should be on that. I don't necessarily believe we have to take a local stance on that. The guidelines are out there from the CDC. If I were a parent of somebody young, trick-or-treating age, I would say, hey, we're going to pass on that and not do that. But I'm sure there are some that are going to be out there doing that. But that's really up to parents. They know the guidelines, they know what's up, and I think they can make their own choices on that. That would be my interpretation of it. If the council sees fit for us to go a certain direction with it, we can do that. But that is my thought, that parents should be able to parent their kids and take care of what they need to keep them safe.
Well, Pat, are you going to publish this right here? I'm just wondering, how do we notify the parents of what these guidelines are?
Well, it's been talked about, I know, in news articles the last 5 weeks probably. And then I think just in the last 3 weeks, the guidelines that came out and were published. So people can have access to them if they want to. We can post it on our website also. For those that need access for it also. We can just post a link.
Rick, I think the simple answer is that through the Centers for Disease Control, there are guidelines that they have published that are available for people to take a look at if they're interested in looking at that.
I think, Jim, just my opinion, I think we should maybe just post it on our website.
Okay,
So
I can do that.
if it's not that big of a burden, I think that'd be just something that's out there, and maybe we can put it out on our Facebook, or again, I'm talking way out of my league. But on our Facebook or anything like that, so that at least there's some information.
Sure, we can post it and just ask people to follow the guidelines set forth by the CDC. And they, as you can see on your copy, They just broke it down to lower risk activities, moderate risk activities, and then high risk activities. So yeah,
And that-
people will read through that.
And then somewhere in bold, I like your comment about, well, parents are responsible for this, not us. I mean, we're not babysitters, but I don't know if you might want to put it in bold, but that would be nice if it was at least on the website.
Okay, I can do that, and I'll post it on our Facebook page, and Ken can link the city page to it or do what needs to be done with that.
Cool, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Anything else, Jim?
I do not have anything else to add.
Okay, Mike or Ken, I think you're the only two other people on from, I lost my visual again, so I'm doing it on the phone. So if Ken or Mike, if you want to add anything about COVID, and
I have nothing else to add.
I do not either.
okay, well, good. Well, then that brings us to the consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions, issues, or comments on anything in the consent agenda?
I had a question. The tobacco license, is that just for one location or is that for 2 locations?
That is for one location. Ken, you want to maybe give the council a bit of a heads up, and that'll answer Bruce's question as to what's happening at the current location and what it's going to convert to here this week?
Yeah, so the tobacco license is for Hy-Vee. That'll be doing business as Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh Express at the current Speedway / McDonald's in that same building. They will be closing on that property on this Wednesday on the 7th. On the 8th of October, they're going to be starting construction, basically remodeling, no additions or anything, but remodeling the interior of that building, doing parking lot, refurbishing and restriping, that type of thing. And so that'll be the first step in what we'll be seeing for the Hy-Vee name and image and functioning here in New Prague. And then we did just today actually get the formal building permit application for the full Hy-Vee grocery store in the old Shopco building that will include additions onto that building. And I just started my plan review in full today after doing that full application, but that's about a 4.7 million, or don't quote me on this, 4.some million on the additions and remodeling for the old Shopco building. The permit value on the convenience store is about $750,000, and McDonald's will remain as a tenant in that building throughout the duration of their lease. I don't know how long their lease is. Hy-Vee has not provided that information at this point, but McDonald's space is remaining as is and not being remodeled for the time being. So kind of a major change to that corner we'll be seeing with the Hy-Vee brand and operation there very shortly.
I know there was different business models they were anticipating. Is the Fast and Fresh, is that their generic doing business name for all their stores, or is that the
convenience stores?
Just the convenience stores.
Yep.
So will there be a tobacco license later for grocery store?
I would
Yes.
assume there would be.
Okay, thank you.
And you want to convey as well that the Hy-Vee grocery store was initially going to be the Dollar Fresh concept, but
Yep.
that's changed.
Yeah, now the Hy-Vee is a full-fledged Hy-Vee with all the interior, what do they call it, the market grill food, little stations in there, and liquor store and drive-through pharmacy. So pretty big change we'll be seeing there. And they did obtain the former City's Edge Collision property finally as well.
I was wondering how they're going to get parking, but that kind of explains the parking issue then.
Yep, all the employee parking will take place on that old site that was owned by the body shop. So it should work very well.
That's
Ken,
really great news, actually.
Ken, one last item, if you could convey to the council what they'll be required to do around the perimeter of the site as it relates to taking care of the separation with the adjoining neighbors.
Yeah, one of the big concerns we've already got when people heard that the property where the body shop was going to be sold is making sure that they were going to maintain the green belt buffer area. And basically what they have to do is provide a visual screening of trees and or a fence between any residential property, which is directly to the west and then directly to the south with the townhomes. And Hy-Vee actually on the plan they submitted does not meet that, but obviously they will have to before we'll issue any permit. So they've got to beef up their screening a bit to the neighboring townhomes and that single family brick home directly to the west. So we'll make sure it meets all that before anything goes out the door.
But collectively, between the two projects, you just indicated there will be an investment into the two properties in excess of $5 million.
Correct. Very, very big, important project.
Do you have any idea, now that you have the permit, what their start date to start doing some renovating and some construction on that Shopko site?
We don't have that at this point. We literally just got the permit application in, so we haven't even had a chance to talk to their construction team, other than we got the plan and we got the permit app. So we'll be doing a lot more talking to them between now and obviously throughout our review. So probably at EDA, I'll have a better idea of that next week and give a little update for anybody that'll be on the EDA meeting, and can also update the council at that point too.
Okay.
Do you have a sense of
Thank you very much.
employment numbers on that, Ken? Any idea?
Nope, not at this point. We'll try to find that out too.
Okay, any other questions on anything in the consent agenda? Okay, if not, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Who is that, Bruce?
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
He just had to get on in the minutes at the end. Okay, second by Bruce Wolf. If there's no other questions. Rick, how do you vote?
Aye.
Maggie?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
And Chuck votes aye, so it passes 5-0. Now we're at the miscellaneous. Does anyone have anything they want to bring up? Again, I do not have a visual, so I'm going to just kind of leave it out there.
So
Chuck,
this is Maggie.
Oh, excuse me. I was
That's
just
okay.
as to what he was indicating is whether you wanted officially to have the council to take action that the second budget workshop would be on Wednesday, October 21st, following the 5:30 special meeting on the bond issue.
Yeah, we can do that. I'll make a motion to have the second budget workshop following the 5:30 meeting on the bonds.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a second by Sean Ryan. So we'll take a vote. Rick?
Aye.
Maggie?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
And Chuck says aye, so that's all taken care of. Passes 5-0. So with that, okay, now Maggie, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I just have a couple of items. I want to let the council know that we are working on the fitness and aquatic facility year-end report. We should have that for the October, is it 19th council meeting. And Sandy Lynn has agreed to present the financials at that meeting. And Mike, I just make a request for Sandy's sake of time, if she might be able to be first on the agenda.
We can arrange that.
Thank you. The other item, I'm just curious on the EDA grants from the CARES money, if any decisions have been made to any of our business owners and if that money is being disseminated yet?
We are in the process of finalizing the agreement that we received as a draft from Next Stage, that they modeled it after what Scott County put together for the Scott County CDA. And so I'm trying to, with the help of Scott Riggs, finalize a few of the sections to use it for us. Otherwise, as soon as we have that done, and I'm hoping that's in the next day or so, then once that's done and we get it back to Next Stage, then he's able to send that out for execution, and then we'll be ready to issue checks.
Great. Yeah, I've had a couple of business owners approach me, just kind of curious where things were sitting. So I appreciate the update.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, no other comments? If that's the case, I guess I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And second by Rick Steiler. So if there's no other comments or questions, all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Okay, we're out of here. Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry for the problems.
No problem.
It
No
all worked
problem.
out.
Thanks, everybody.
Good
Chuck,
night.
you're gonna have to go talk to your neighbor.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Pay your
night.
bill.